Hi, everyone. I've got a real treat for you today that I know you're going to really enjoy. I think this is the fifth conversation that we've had with Hazel, Newton, Janet Trelaw, and very importantly, Zac and I, who is an aspect of Dhwal Khul, the Ascended Master Dhwal Khul. And Janet and Hazel have been great friends of mine for quite some years now. Wonderful, beautiful souls. They have really made my life very different. And in knowing Zac, that has been massively enriching too. So I'm always thrilled to share with them. And Zac brings forth such profound, loving wisdom. We always get so much and such unique information as well. So I think you're gonna love it. For those of you who don't know, Hazel and Janet were both past life regressionists. They were past life regressionist trainers, but they no longer do that. They're fully dedicated to their Patreon group. The Patreon group for Zac is wonderful. It's a wonderful community where you can share your experiences and insights, get a lot of information. And in the Patreon group, Zac puts out a deep dive, a Zac chat, and a meditation every month. And the meditation, it's world class production, I have to say, because Zac is just a brilliant DJ. I don't know how he does it, but they take us deep, actually. So I'd really recommend it. It's incredible value. And you can just get so much out of those sessions every month. Thank you so much, Hazel, Janet, Zac, for producing those for us. Now, normally, Hazel is the one asking fabulous questions, but this time around it's going to be my turn again. And thanks so much, Hazel, for arranging all of this. And I think you're gonna pop back at the end. I think.
Absolutely. Pam, thank you so much for being with us again. It's so great to be collaborating with you and also, most importantly, witnessing the magic that occurs between you and Zac. There's something very unique in the energy that comes forth when you're together. And Janet and I absolutely love watching you and hearing what you're able to bring forth with your amazing knowledge of all that's going on in the universe at the moment. Yes, as Pam says, I am normally the one asking the questions, but this time I'm just going to pop off and leave you to it. But before I do, over to you, Jan. It's you that channel Zac, and maybe you can share a little bit about what happens when you do.
Oh, it is really lovely to be here. It's always fascinating to listen to Zac, not only talking to Hazel and anyone else who he's talking to, but especially when he talks to Pan, because there is, as you say, there's some frequency, there's some resonance, and it's like he enjoys these mic drop moments where he can, because of the questions that are asked as well, be able to give this great insight into the changes in our world. He's been waiting over the years. He's been able to give little pieces of information. And now I get the feeling he's bubbling over. Our frequency has changed so much. There's so much more that he can share. As Hazel says, we have been running our Patreon group, Zac's Portal, for quite a few years now. And there's a massive library. And when you listen back to deep dives from way, even in the beginning, you can hear things that he's talking about that are happening now. All of them are still so relevant, and the Zac chats, and he calls them deepy dives and chitty chats. He has this great personality. I know that one of his ways, part of his persona, is opening up our hearts by being our friend as well, wanting to share this really unique, wonderful new wisdom that is coming through, but in a really palatable and enjoyable way. So I really enjoy working with him. I've been a trance channel. I trained in everything right from a child. I've been a trance medium for many years and I've channeled Zac. I've forgotten how many years now. So he really knows my energy and he knows everyone else's and where they're at the moment. So I think it'll be a really fascinating talk and will really work well with all the meditations and everything that he's bringing out right now, which are there to help us through not only the wonderful stuff, but the turbulent stuff as well.
Mhm. Mhm. Fabulous. Thank you so much, Janet.
So
So
as you
I better
think,
get out the way. And I better get out the way. Only takes me a couple of minutes. And then Zac will be here as yes. So I will have my eyes shut if anyone's watching and wondering why. And it just means that he can have full expression coming through. Welcome, my dears.
Fabulous to connect with you, Zac. It's always such an honor and such a privilege to spend time with you. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Leisure. Aha. Dear friend Pamela. Aha.
Yeah.
We are together again.
Yes, wonderful.
Where would
My
you like to begin?
Yeah, my first question, Zac, is in ancient texts and also ancient sages who've said this too, that they very often say there's only one of us here. So my question is really, how much is our physical reality a projection of our individual consciousness?
It is interesting when we use numbers, isn't it? What do we really mean by one? The great one that encompasses all, or a level of separation? And this is really what we have to consider when we are thinking of who in incarnation our personality truly is. It is really a blended state. There is always the element of the new. This is part of the experience of physical incarnation, because in physicality, you are subject to the physics and conditions of time. When you have time, there is past, there is present, there is future. Even since we have talking, time has changed. We have moved on. As you are considering all of this, think about your body. What changes in your body could happen within the next day, 2 days, 3 days? What you eat and you drink will have an effect upon your body. The cells will regenerate in your body. Other cells will die off and go. And this is the same with all the other aspects, the emotional, the mental, even the spiritual. So there is ever-present change that is happening in the physical, but the projection, this is a very good, useful word because it gives a visualization of it all. The projection and the projection into the world is not just the physicality, we know this. It is the consciousness. It is the consciousness of your soul that has experienced everything, literally everything, and its connections with all other souls that have also experienced everything. But filtered through this state of being, your head would blow off. Maybe not literally, but it would feel quite insane if you were to know everything all at the same time. But by having the vehicle of time and the vehicle of a physical body, you are able to sample, a bit like a wonderful buffet, where you do not go straight to the desserts, unless you like me and have a sweet tooth. But you manage to work your way along and experience the different flavors, the different things. You may not even know what's at the other end of the buffet when you start because you are so immersed in the experience of what you have gone first through. And this is what happens in every moment of every day. So the projection, you could say one, but I would say that there is more of a oneness. And dependent on what you are doing and how much the consciousness needs in that moment to be held within certain activity, how much of the soul is coming through. For example, if you are busy, so different Pamela, you are busy in your kitchen making your lunch. This is very food-based at the moment. You are then focusing on what you are doing. You do not want to cut your fingers with a sharp knife. And therefore, there is more of the predominant force of one that has been created throughout your lifetime. However, if you are doing something as you're preparing the food that does not need much concentration and your mind is wandering and you are thinking over such things that may be happening the next day or other, or some piece of information that you are pondering on, then more of your oneness comes to join. Then that is projected into the world through your thoughts, deeds, and actions. Does this make sense to you, my dear?
Yes, absolutely. And linked to that, Zac, I know there are many meditation groups all over the world, but we have a particular one on a Sunday, 15-minute free meditation on a Sunday. and I like to call it our family of frequency, come together. And several meditators have reported that their spirit guides are saying we really are making a difference in the quantum wave structure going forward. Could you comment on that for us, please?
You have a very regular saying in your Western world,
Yeah.
quality, not quantity. However, in terms of coming together, it is the other way around. We want the quantity. This is where this is very much useful. When you are getting more and more like energy, so this is not about like minds or even like hearts at this point, but like energy coming together, it becomes a force of nature. Very similar to when the forces of nature happen underneath the surface of the earth. And then it comes together and the pressure is so much that a volcano erupts, for example. This is very similar. When you have a few people coming together, it is still potent. But when you bring together, and this is where time is actually very useful because people can then schedule their time so that they are doing it all in the same moment. Then, when the frequency converges and we have that quantity, then there is such a build level that then exceeds what it is overcoming. This is not a power of thought in force, even though force is what comes from it. It is a power of love that comes together with all of the people with a similar intention. Even if the wording, the vocabulary, of course, people's languages are slightly different, the frequency holds together. It finds its way from all over the world like a network that finds all the nodules moving together, finding pace, finding its equivalent. It's like making like. And then with the quantity of it, once the people have stopped with the meditation, it is still buzzing, humming, it is reverberating. And the reverberations have a very strong effect, not only on nature and the universe, but upon other people. Many people have felt this. If you put someone who is feeling very sad, and then there's come around them a lot of people just giving out of their heart a lot of love to them, they will naturally feel a lift. As an experiment, for example. But on a very larger scale, here, when you have this quantity and the reverberations, the cushion that really comes from it. And then what then will come after will have this, a bit like rainwater coming down on people. It filters into people's energy systems and then it starts to make decent change. Understand? Yes. So quantity in this regard is very good. We still want the quality, but it is the quantity. So more people that can join all of these really gets it past that tipping point into really making big difference. Understand? Yes.
Yes, wonderful. So it feels like a tsunami of love that is building stronger and stronger every week, more and more strongly every week.
Wonderful way of describing it. It is exactly that. Tsunami of love.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. That is so validating to hear that because it's such a simple thing for us to do. Everyone can join for free. And so it's wonderful to hear that it's making a difference too. And astrophysicists are telling us that there's a very particular quality of energy that is coming in from the galactic center at the moment. And this is really helping our evolutionary jump, our unique evolutionary jump at this time. Can you tell us more about this unique galactic center energy and how that's interacting with this tsunami of love to build new Earth?
If you could imagine that there are two countries, okay? And there's a big expanse of water between them long time ago. And one country doesn't even know that the other country exists. But then boats are created. And before you know it, you have traders going backwards and forwards and all of these types of things. And then suddenly the people are affected by each other's cultures, each other's languages. It does not take much. Okay. Now, the reason why I explain this is there has been much that has been happening. We've been talking about this for a long time as a view, my dear, to do with the level of fundamental frequency changes upon your planet, but also within the whole cuboid of your universe. Okay. Now, this has moved on to such a pace that now the ship appears. Okay. And what we mean by this is this particular energy has always existed, but it could not be detected and it could not be felt. Let us simply say felt by others. Okay. And that is simply because the frequency was at such a point, it was too separate. But now that it is here, it is part of the evolutionary, evolutionary package. Aha! You could say that humanity is dealing with at this time. The impact of this energy will have an impact not only on Earth, but all of this galaxy, all of this cuboid of the universe. Now, before getting frightened or fearful or thinking this means like a blast, an explosion, it is nothing like that. But it is a level of light. Light is the best way to put it. Light really governs a whole range of frequencies. Easiest at the moment to describe it in this way. This energy is a frequency that brings new life. It is energy of creation. So what it does is it promotes new growth. It promotes anything that is like in your body. When you have energy coming in that promotes it, it triggers the cells to repair themselves. It triggers energy to evolve, to be able to not only sustain, but be resilient to and comfortable with new types of energy. And so this energy that the astrophysicists, as you say, they have now got the equipment. I was talking to different Hazel about this, that always the inventions are coming for what the universe is providing, so that humans, whether it is to create a solution that humans have caused the problem, or simply the general overall evolution of your whole galaxy system. It is more than the galaxy, though, it is the whole cuboid of the universe. And through that, people's bodies are already feeling this very strongly. And so it is very important to take care of oneself as we go through this, because it is a leap. It is a proper full leap in evolutionary status at this time that has not happened for, well, millennia or longer. Understand, yes?
Yes, that is just so exciting. So the light and the energy has always been there. It's just we have only recently been able to expand our consciousness to perceive it.
Yes, so the technology can only now. That is because the consciousness has developed so much to be able to create that technology and also to be able to perceive. You know what it is like when you are in one frequency, there is a certain bandwidth that you can be associated with. Otherwise, you get so out of coherence, it is completely confusing. This is why when somebody dies, they cannot just go off and a month later pop back to their body and say, I've had a little trip. The frequency is so different, it will not fit into the physical body anymore. We are not talking about those who have had it arranged to be away from their body for a shortish period of time. But we are talking about once the change. So this is one of the ways to be able to think of it. The difference between your conscious soul, energetic state of being outside of the physical form is so elevated. And this, what the astrophysicists are picking up, is connected with this. It is connected with us being closer whilst in an incarnated form, whilst the whole galaxy is in its physical self, moving closer to its spiritual self. This is why, my dear, astrologers and others have really got their hands dirty at the moment in the ground like gardeners. They're having to rethink lots of things because the consciousness, for example, of Mars, of Mercury, of Uranus is changing. And so, as well as the positioning, the push traits associated are slightly changing into a more elevated fashion. You
Mm.
understand? Yes.
That's so interesting because I've been sensing that and even referring to it in my videos because it seems that there's so many questions coming out of that. It seems that are the planets merely probability waves of consciousness that are each distinct?
That is it in its simplified form.
Okay. Okay.
You have another question that will explain to people better where that consciousness is moving to? I feel it in your head.
I think it's just moving us towards source, oneness, and what I want to call a singularity, a unity consciousness.
Yes, exactly that. It is teaching. Okay. So all of this helps the evolution, helps the world turn. Okay. But it is moving into a way to being and a consciousness that allows a super consciousness that is connected with all things to have more purchase in the body, in the water, in life, in the galaxy. A super consciousness that connects everything. So rather than being too much argy-bargy between certain ones, there is more of a mixing of the energy and understanding of the energy so that actually, even though many things happen, it is like a pathway on a river where there is an easier path through, which is what the superconsciousness is doing. This is why to be able to read the stars as you do, you can only do it when you are in an elevated fashion yourself. Have you ever had so much different Pamela, reading charts and others when you are in a very stressful situation, when you are trying to deal with maybe building works at home or some other stress factor? It is
Absolutely.
as if you cannot read it clearly. You understand? Yes.
Yes, absolutely. So it seems that one of the most important things we can do is keep our energetic coherence at this time with the solar flares, the photonic light, all of this, what appears new energy to us to be assimilated calmly and easily into our bodies. That love and coherence are very important to hold that energy. Is that correct?
Yes, I would like people, particularly this year and 2025, to hold the word and the energy of coherence
Yeah.
almost equal to the frequency of love.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why we say that is it is through coherence that everything happens. When the coherence goes out, things that should be or could be very useful and enjoyable can become painful, can become hard work, can become confusing. Okay. Now, there is an adage to this because a lot of people are feeling pain, confusion at this moment. And they will be thinking, oh, Zachariah, I try and I try. I can't be in coherence all of the time. And it is true. It is very difficult. It is a bit like being wide awake. You are a being that is supposed to sleep for part of the day. You can't say, but I've got so much to do. I'm going to stay awake and I'm never going to sleep. And it is the same here. Coherence is important, and focus, putting the mind to it, is very useful. But when we work too hard, a bit like somebody training for long distance running, they know when they've overtrained and then they have a setback and they have to rest. Same with the coherence. You want to focus and to be mindful to be in coherence. And we will explain a little bit more about what that means. But at the same time, give yourself time to rest and to play, where you may still be in coherence or not, but it is not the main focus. Because otherwise, you will just wear yourself out and you will be berating yourself at times when you feel you're not in coherence. But the more your body, your energy system is in coherence, the more it is like a habit, a very good habit. It's more that it says, oh, this is the right state to be. And then not only will it do it without you having to even thinking about it will naturally, and this is the good thing, as you were talking about the charts and so forth, we talked last time about the blueprint being in the water. So you are drinking it in, what is happening the whole time, without even thinking, even in stressful situations, because you have trained your energy system, your body to do, it will naturally default to coherence and become coherence with the future. You are always, I think Hazel and I, we have spoken of this, and when we talked about time many years ago now, interestingly, on time, you are always ahead of time. There is no such thing as the present moment, because by the time you thought of the present moment, it is gone already. You are actually, all of you, constantly, energetically with antennae ahead of time. You are sensing what is coming in the next few days, in the next few weeks. Sometimes for some people, they are sensing very clearly 3 months, 6 months, even a year ahead of time in the timelines. And because you are always ahead of time, your energy system needs to start getting into a habit of becoming coherent with what is going on then as well. And because the planet is changing, the energy is changing. As you said, the astrophysicists have now detected, been able to put labels towards what people have been feeling and sensing. There is much that is coming that is very useful for the evolutionary evolution process of all living things and non-living things, to be fair as well, on this planet. But it is ahead of time. And so you feel like you are catching up. But to be truly in coherence, it is balance, but it is not the same as balance. You can be slightly out of balance, but still be in coherence. The best way to do this, I give you only simple, practical ways of doing things. Is start a day or any time of the day if you forget. Talk directly to your heart. You can say it out loud. You can say it and say, my desire is to be in coherence with my environment, my surroundings, and my life. Okay? And the reason why we say this is because your environment is the main thing that will have the pressure around. And the environment around can be the environment that is just in your home, in your room, in your office, out walking, out in nature, wherever it is. But the environment will also be containing the light, the new structures, all of these things. But it will also be aware of the stresses in your life. So coherence isn't about ignoring the difficulties and challenges that come with every day. It is about including them so that when you are in coherence, you are on a clear road. And it is so much easier not only to navigate, but to know what your true feelings are, what your true thoughts are, what your true physical sensation is. And that it is not simply buffering with lots of different energy. Understand, yes?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Zac. I understand that this is the first real evolutionary jump that we've gone through while we are in physical form, in physicality. So we are actually transmuting these energies through our body, is my understanding. I'd love you to comment on that. And is that principally through the heart?
Yes. So, for many years, let us simply call energies. Consciousnesses such as myself and others and clever people in your world have been detecting all of this and have been talking so much about change and have been feeling big fluctuations of change. But as you said, this is the first time where and en masse, not just for small groups of people, but en masse, we will start to see a fundamental physical change. Okay. So if you just simply look at the attitudes, the way people speak, blah, 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 different from 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 100 years ago, you can see that there is quite an evolution. There has been very much an emotional intelligence evolution. There has been a mental elevation as well, different from intellect, a mental evolution. Physical bodies have gone through all sorts of things, but now, and this is where Do look to the scientific research that will be coming over the next few years. It is not just DNA. People are looking at the DNA, the strands of DNA. This is true. At deep cellular level and the way the systems of the body work, particularly look at the hormones, particularly those that are either created or governed by those inside the head. You will see changes on particular continents that have had more of the energy of this light. You may see it sooner than others. Now, we do not expect to walk down the street and suddenly everybody is a strange green or orange color or suddenly have two heads. We are not talking about changing a humanoid shape or even a complete change. At the moment, carbon is still the foundational structure of physicality. However, how the body works. And as you have said, different, Pamela, this is down to the heart. The heart is always connected to the heart of the universe. Talked about being forward in time. The heart is the part that picks up what is happening from way, way out beyond even your galaxy into the cuboid of the universe that is affecting. And it is through that and the communication, not only with your subconscious, but also with what you are doing, your positivity, what you are eating, all of these different things, all the things that you talk about, different, Pamela, but also just by being and living on your planet at this time is having the evaluatory effect. And then through the nervous system, the changes are occurring. And the reason for this is not only to make the humanoid bodies that you have, and this is happening in all nature. You would see it first with the insects and a vast increase in those that have been depleted. Look at the bees. Do not expect to suddenly say, oh, the bees are all fine again. But these all the things that are happening, that are helping your evolution, all of these things. And so through the heart, in a person, there is communication. And then the way that the physical body changes is through the nervous system. And the nervous system governs the hormones and all of these other things. So we are expecting a little bit of a rocky time for quite a few people because it isn't easy. Remember when you were little, maybe if you are somebody who grew very quickly and had growing pains in your legs and your arms, you remember it is not easy to change quickly. However, the energy is pushing the change and the evolution will be worth it of all of nature. This is how it is renewing itself after becoming so depleted. And this is true for people as well. But to go through it, the best way is to have spent time in coherence so that you get into the habit of coherence, to be kind to the body, and also to be able to really understand your nervous system and to give it a lot of care. This month, depends when you are listening to this, with different Hazel, talking about the importance of play on the nervous system and whether that play for you is something quite explosive and fun and gregarious and outgoing, or whether play for you is sitting quietly with a book and a nice hot steaming cup of tea. Whatever it may be gentle with your nervous system, whether you are 8 or you are 80, whether you live in Timbuktu or Scotland. Wherever you are, whatever you do, look after your nervous system. Give it a bit of TLC, because this will give you a really good way to go through. And of course, listen to you, dear friend Pamela, because then they can get the guidance as well, particularly of what areas of their life may come under stress, but may also come under evolution and joy and fortitude and happiness. Understand? Yes.
Yes, absolutely wonderful. So you really are speaking, Zac, of a new biology for humanity, but also for many other species in our world.
What I was going to add is, you notice so often I include the animals. It
Yes.
is very easy and understandable to be quite insular in a world and think, oh, this is happening to the humans. The humans are only part of the story. Earth is a living, breathing organism. Gaia, Gabe, as she is called, the whole earth, deep into the heart of the earth, there is consciousness. Everything living on the earth, everything that is the seas, as we have said, and we talked last time about the water, everything is changing to show its beautiful, geometric, shall we say, organized, beautiful self. You see it in the snowflakes. If you think that this is happening to everything and everything is evoluting, everything is doing it at once. So no wonder the world is in turmoil. Can you imagine everybody going through growing pains all at exactly the same time? No wonder there is frustration, there is confusion, there's people hitting out, but there is also beauty. There is also great change. There is also a deep healing and changing. Healing may be not the right word because healing gives the impression of something that is broken that is being fixed. This is brand new. This is saying, okay, all of these things that have either gone or are diminishing or have been lesser than they were. As Hazel Ross, do enjoy my word betterment. It is about betterment. It is about everything now improving. But it will take time. You got to think, I've been here billions of years. It's not going to happen on the 25th of March or the 28th of April. Give a date, when will it happen? But at the same time, there will be dates and others where you will feel, and this is where you are great help to the international world, to the globe, where you can actually say to people, hold on to your hat or go and party on these days. But through it all, as long as people are aware that they are going through something very important and they are kind to themselves and others, it is a very simple thing. What it all boils down to is if you have kindness and love in your heart, if you are prepared to be patient with self and with others, whether you are willing to live in a world going forward that is one of collaboration rather than separateness, then true beauty can really be seen. Apologies, my dear, you were going to ask another question. I just wanted to include the whole shebang
No,
of
it's
the
wonderful. I think,
planet.
as I've often said, I think the animals and trees are way ahead of us. They're like the water as well. That they are all ahead of us, helping humanity, who are the laggards in this, I often think. But with this evolutionary leap we're going through, Zac, is it also the case that in not too far from now, not only will we start to have more connection with our galactic family, but also with some of the beings, the very wise inner beings living in inner Earth?
You picked up on what I was saying there as well, was I not, about deep in the earth?
Indeed, yes.
Exactly. Yes. To start with, a lot of this consciousness is being infused through plant, mushroom, tree life. Where you will really gain purchase in your connection is through the ancient forest.
Yeah.
Now, if you cannot travel to them, we do not want everybody converging on the few remaining ancient forests and trampling upon them. Do it in your intention. Do it in your meditation. Do it while you're sleeping. Ask your energy. Remember what we were saying there in the beginning. You are not just a personality. You have all of your soul wisdom to connect you to the heart. Whenever we say heart, we mean the center point as well. So you can use it as a quite generalized term. But if you go to the heart of an ancient forest, now there may be one that draws you, or you may just simply allow your soul to choose. The ancient forests are so used to going with the flow. They are leaps and bounds above in terms of consciousness. They are maybe 50, 75 years ahead of what the humans and other what supposedly called intelligent beings, because people get used to how they are, and energetically they do not even mean to do it. They resist. They resist with this change, which is quite paradoxical considering your world is all about change. But in the deep forest, nature has its own way of playing out, of helping each other, but also knowing when to decompose, when to regrow. But it is the consciousness. And one of the ways that you are all are, and this is something very much of the modern world, is people are aware of the consciousness that they are ingesting when they are working with the purity, whether it be of something that is from a tree or a tree bark, whether it is from plant life, whether it is from mushrooms and so forth. And of course, these are very glib generalizations. This is a huge, huge area in its own right. But people are able to bring in some of that consciousness. Now, again, this is not about going out and stuffing yourself with the nearest mushroom that you find, very dangerous, and saying, oh, we'll open up. But it is simply the fact that little like a drip will eventually create an ocean. What you are doing and the importance again of really being careful about the foods and other such things that you ingest or even bring into your energy system and a higher consciousness. You can bring in the higher consciousness, of course, of all of these things. Just as I say, going to the ancient forest, you can learn so much about what it is to be part of the earth because you are part of the earth, just as the great yew tree or the great beech tree or the great hawthorn or whatever it may be that is sitting in that forest. But you are just a different style, let us call it that, of nature. But you can learn very much through them. And this is where we're going. But nature wonderfully just takes on board the change. It doesn't argue with change. It doesn't say, no, I want to stay this way. It just does. And this is why nature is so much more forward. And you start seeing it in the animals as well and allowing some of the evolutionary processes in them to happen rather than people going in and changing things, saying, oh, it shouldn't be this way, but just watching and seeing what nature does and plays out with this energy. Understand? Yes.
Yes, wonderful. And I was also thinking, Zach, of beings who are living inside the earth, in inner earth, because people often talk about them, that we are going to connect to their ancient wisdom as part of this evolutionary jump as well. Is that the case?
Yes. And this is the second part of the answer. They are waiting for the time when they will be accepted. This is why their consciousness is coming through the trees and everything. As people more connect, they can feel that as well. So we cannot put a number on it, saying be next year or 5 years or 10 years or even 20 years' time, because these beings, they look very different from how you might expect, but they are living beings with heightened intelligence and consciousness, which they have got. It is like the deep nature consciousness, but they are fueling much of what is coming out. And through that, they can also determine what is happening on the surface. So when they will be accepted, they're not going to come into fruition, into the light, shall we say, until that time, because they have been there for so long. They know there's no point until they are accepted. They are not warring type beings. They are beings that are here that are more nature than they are human. They are more about the progressive change. So they will come at a time when it is progressive change to help rather than to be in any sort of situation that could be, again, like this, like difficult, challenging. Understand? Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And with this expanded consciousness where we start to connect to galactic family and also ultimately to the inner earth beings, are we also going to see some land mass changes, perhaps the land masses that are connected to ancient Lemuria and the frequency of love of ancient Lemuria? Are they going to start to re-emerge into our world?
You will see this very much connected with the melting of the ice caps. Part of the climate change and everything, they're heating up. You are losing an awful lot of alkalinity of ice that is turning into fluid. And this is showing. Now, of course, the technology these days can map what is underneath and what land masses are there. What it doesn't show is when they are not covered, they light up again, literally from an inner light. And as you are aware, the Atlantis, for example, is a frequency, and there were many areas at a very similar time. They were called Atlantis, and that is already reverberating and is in people's systems, and many people are living again from that time. Lemuria has a similarity, but Lemuria, the main continent of Lemuria, is very close to the South Pole. And actually, as some of the ice caps and others are reducing, some of the land itself is coming to light, almost as if the sun being on it and the water shedding is also a bit like we were talking about nature and the ancient forests, is also being able to project out another layer of consciousness. The Lemurians were nothing like as physical as humans are. They did take on human form, but one of their very strong characteristics was they had the ability, because of their connection with the frequency of light, to dematerialize and rematerialize in different formations and in different places. And it would be, shall we say, likely that one of the things that they would be bringing forward, and one of the reasons why, at the same time as these ice caps are melting, and there is more of this landmass coming through and more of this energy coming through, is a sharing of energy across the globe of how to live in a physical form by still accommodating such a high level of light without it blowing everything apart. You understand?
Yeah, beautiful, because I understand that they really embodied not only light, but love to a high degree, with great love for all of nature and a sense of oneness and sacredness, which is really beautiful. Wow. So, a slightly different question now, Zach, because our understanding of the world with this expanded consciousness is changing so rapidly. Can you say anything about how our understanding of the cosmos will change in the coming years and how that's going to affect astrology?
So I will answer that momentarily.
Okay.
Just a little adage to what you were saying there with light and love, and something that is so obvious to those of us who are not in incarnation. And this is a good reminder to remind everybody, because it is something that people do not think. People think of light and love as two separate things. The light frequency, the closer you get, the more vibrant the light. We are not talking about light that can be seen with the human eyes. Light frequency is so close and often interlinks with love. So you cannot change to a higher light frequency without love being present. You cannot stay in a state of love while being in a lower light frequency. And so when somebody who you think they have no love in their heart and how they act, and they tell you, oh, I'm in the light, pish posh. Doesn't happen. And this is one of the things about being coherent and going with the light. And the more that people do not feel they deserve love or feel love, the more difficult they will find this elevation into the light. So it does not mean to say you have to go and have years and years of therapy. And I'm talking to therapists here. It is more about just simply saying into your heart, in the coherence, I am willing to accept this new level of light and love into my life. This is why the Lemurians, they had such a high level of light that love goes with it. They could not be in that level of light and be malicious, for example, or to not have love. They love the earth so much. They particularly love the water beings. And through that, they were able to, shall we say, populate the energy of the water and other with the light before even the light got here. You understand?
Yeah, so they seem to be very linked to whale and dolphin frequency.
Exactly.
Because they're very evolved species, aren't they? Again, helping to hold a higher frequency for the earth and for us as humanity.
Exactly. So the Lemurians, we often think of them as land-based, but when they could change their frequency, rather than change their frequency into a water creature, which is why they are associated with water and the animals that are there, but not as a separate one, they would become one with water itself. Just as the water that you drink that has the blueprint of what is happening in the cosmos and the evolution and the light particles that are coming from the future that you then ingest come into you. You understand, yes?
Yeah, that is beyond exciting, really, because what you're saying, Zach, is that it, information from the far galaxies, from way out in space, beyond our Milky Way, perhaps, is coming into our physical being via the water. That's the
Exactly.
evolution impulse. The water is providing the medium, which is the evolutionary impulse for us.
Exactly. And the very basis of the water that started out on your planet before the humanoids, before any living real creature was infused by certain beings that came here to give life. How do you think life came out of water? There was a level of consciousness that is light and love personified through the geometric systems, through the patterning into the water that set everything off. And we are coming full circle now with the understanding of it. And this leads to the question you just asked regarding the cosmos. Actually, we will understand, and when I say we, I'm talking about those of the incarnated world, will understand the cosmos better when it actually is able to really be able to take in how much that cosmos is affecting every single cell of your body in every single moment of your life. It is not to say you do not have a personality. It is not to say that you are not an individual soul and you have your soul essence. But everything connected, I so often say, you are the universe and the universe is you. The universe is in every single person's heart. Every single part of the whole universe. So even beyond your cuboid of the universe is contained in some way, geometrically and other within you. So the more that you can accept the light in, the more that you can accept the shift and changing frequency, the more that you can be in coherence, the more you can be in love, the more you can accept change and know that you are living most of the time in the future and from what the future is telling you, the more you can then identify how the cosmos is affecting you, and through that, understand the cosmos. And of course, if all of this is affecting you, how do you think? And this is the big question. You living your life and every choice and deed and action and thought that you create is affecting the wider cosmos around you, because the cosmos is intelligent. It is a big thinking brain, you could say, as well. So there is no way everything can affect you with you not affecting it. Understanding, yes, my
Yeah,
dear?
absolutely. Everything is interconnected. Wow, that was a phenomenal, mind-blowing answer, Zach. That was just so manifestation essentially comes from geometry and frequency.
Yes, you could put that as an equation. Absolutely. That is how manifestation comes together with heart's desire.
Yes.
That is how it happens.
Yeah.
So it is the geometry, as you say, it is the frequency, it is the coherence in the moment, and it is the heart's desire that is the fuel. Aha, like the fuel under the pot that cooks the dinner. You understand? Yes.
Yes, perfect. Beyond exciting. If I'm allowed, because Hazel's popped back in, if I'm allowed to ask one final, much simpler question, Zach, because we've been way out in mind blowing information. I know you said in the last conversation that 2025 would be a year of hard work. Could you give us any update on that, of the kind of energy that we're looking at for 2025 from this point?
Okay. So I'm going to give you a scenario so that people can really understand. So if you think of everything we have just been speaking of, if you can keep it all in there, all of these things. Okay. If you are thinking all of this and you project into the future and you look at next year and you think, wow, my energy will have changed. I will have all of this excess, you could say, higher vibrational light. The light will have worked on my nervous system. I will be changing. Everything within me will be changing. When there is change, something, and this is, you could call it a universal law that is absolutely the same for everything. Creation happens. Okay? And I'm calling it creation force. So it is not just you will feel creative, but there is creative force. This is why I say growing populations of the insects that are required, growing in the resources that have been weakened, growing in the power, packing the punch of all of the foods and all of these things. And so you could see this happening in animals as well and in the peoples. If you are imagining all of this creation power, people are suddenly, those that are very adept, for example, at invention, will be very prolific in their creativity and what can come together. Because we have been promoting collaboration so much, people have been feeling collaboration and are willing to, rather than go, I'm going to keep this to myself. Who else is feeling this? Groups of people coming together, suddenly great minds coming together in creativity, creation in new ways of managing health, managing disease, new ways, creative ways of being able to irrigate crops and others when there is drought. Also, in working with places where there is too much rain to dry things out. Whatever the problem that has come about because of whatever the reasons, there is creation coming in. 25 will be really the start, I feel, of, we could call it hard work, but also you could say it is just your creative power really firing up. And there will be so many people who will suddenly have the impetus to go. So many people this year are saying, I don't want to do anything. I've lost my mojo. I'm not interested. All these things that I was interested in, I just cannot be bothered. Or I need to rest. I just want some time out. I need a sabbatical. I say take it. Take it this year. Take it and actually really be able to work on all the things we have said, the love, the light, the coherence, managing your system, because you will be fired up. And certainly if you know you are someone already of a creative nature, whether it is this or in the arts or writing, speaking, bringing people together in community, in politics, in health, in organization, whatever it may be ready. And some people will be this year, of course, going into it, but certainly next year, the impetus, we have got fire on our backs. The stakeholder is heating up in everybody. This fire through the nervous system and other, it is no surprise that the Kundalini energy travels through the nervous system itself way back when. Now we are looking at something that is very much for every single man, woman, and child on the street. Creative power. So we expect a lot to be happening, particularly from 2025 onwards, particularly up to 2027. Life could look incredibly different when you look around than it looks right now. And particularly if people keep love in their heart in a very positive way, different. Understand? Yes.
Yeah, and that's a really beautiful point to end on as well, Zach. You have been, as always, absolutely magnificent with such loving wisdom and guidance for us. I just can't thank you enough. It's expanded my consciousness just in this conversation. So I hope it's done the same for other listeners too. Bless you for being with us and being willing to come down from the 17th dimension to help us humble humans on our way. Thank you.
I'm on the 26th. I
26th,
got
so
the
sorry.
17th. Well,
So sorry
I
to
play with you, my dear. I play with you. We are in all dimensions anyway these days. But I say to everybody listening, aware of all of you listening, haha, listen to this woman. She knows her stuff. knows the stuff. Really be on it. Be aware. All the things that you are drawn to that will help you with this path through your life. Just do the things that really make your heart sing. You'll know the resonance, what resonates with you and what does not. So just be you. I say this to all people. Be you, be kind, be loving, and be patient for a little bit longer. The good stuff is coming. Good.
Beautiful, Zac. Thank you so
Wow.
much on behalf of everybody. Just a huge cyber hug and thank you to you. God
Yeah,
bless.
wow, wow, wow. What an inspiring and evolutionary, so many nuggets of gold, tsunamis of love. Pam, thank you so much for introducing Zac to so many of your amazing viewers. We have had so many letters from previous people who have discovered Zac and who have really benefited from listening to all that he's shared in the deep dives and through the meditations that are really supporting through everything you've been talking about today. This evolutionary process is pretty intense on our physical bodies. And it's so lovely to have you and Zac to really guide us through at this time of massive metamorphosis. So that was a stunning conversation. And it is so endearing the way that he is the only one that is allowed to call you Pamela.
Can't let anyone else get away with it. But yeah,
We know that.
just go on a magic carpet ride. And I'm just so grateful for this connection with all three of you. I truly am. And thank you, Hazel, also for all the work that you do in helping to make the Patreon group work and flourish and blossom. And Janet, just thrilled that you were able to bring Zac through so fully today. It was magnificent. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My absolute pleasure. He was on fire. He says we're all going to be on fire. So, yes, he was on fire, ready for us all.
That's going to take a few listens too, isn't it? It's just so jam packed with so much really pertinent and practical, useful information. Amazing. Thank you all
I'll
so
just go and lie down now.
I think I'm going to go and listen to his latest meditation, actually, because that one is to do with calming the nervous system, ready for all of this coming in. So I think now that he's shot off, I better go and listen to the meditation.
freedom to become. Yeah.
And to calm, that's it. Yes, he's using the freedom frequency with it. Yes, as well.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Pam. That was wonderful.
And thank you, everybody, for listening and being here. And yes, this is one that you could re listen to many times and get more from each time. So thank you for spending time with us and God bless everybody. Thank you.
Bless. Bye.